Okay, hello everyone and welcome back to World of Tanks Blitz. And no, this isn't an overlay image, no this isn't background video. This is an M60 in my garage that I got in one of the pop-up deals. It was probably one of the better pop-up deals considering what I've seen some of them popping up for. I got this at a decent price, the same price as what most of these tanks are actually selling for gold. You know, something like the Chieftain when it comes in for gold is probably around that price that I actually picked up this thing, which for such a rare and sought after tank when people will snap it up for 200 quid at the Blitz fair, that's a pretty good deal if you ask me. I'm obviously not a medium tank person, but when I saw the M60 turn up I was like, yes please, because it is such a rare tank to have. So what's it like? Well, I've played a couple of battles in it and it's alright. I quite like it. It's an alright tank. Obviously well known for being in Vietnam and beyond until it was phased out in place of whatever the Americans decided to dream up next. But yeah, here in Blitz, what's it like? Well, 2014 HP, which if you take off improved assembly takes it down to about 1900 HP. Now obviously I don't have any medium tanks. The only medium tanks I have at tier 10 are the premiums, the M60 and the 121B. So compared to the 121B, that's got about 1800 HP without improved assembly, which is what I've got on there. I see people comparing it to the Patton and saying that it's basically just a Patton, M48, and if we have a look at the Patton, yeah, it is pretty much just a Patton. So if you have a Patton, you'll like the M60, but then at the same place, if you have a Patton, you probably won't want an M60, because they are pretty similar tanks. As you can see, Patton has got 1800 HP. If we look at some of the German one, for example, you've got the E50M, which has got 1900, you've got the Leo, which has got 1850. So the M60 has got around about the same amount of HP as most other medium tanks at this tier, which is not too bad. As for armour, 177 at the front of the turret, 76 side, 50 rear, 93 frontal hull, 73 side, 25 rear. Armour is not that great, let's be honest. It's no E50. Let's put it that way, and it's also no Russian medium with their amazingly strong OP turret fronts. For example, the 121B has got at least 120 on the front, and it's sloped with 240 on the turret, and it's very rounded. So this has got a pretty decent frontal armour profile for a medium tank. Whereas this thing, it is sloped to a decent degree on that frontal armour, but even so, most high penetration guns, it's only 93mm thick. If it was 100, well, not even that, like something like 120 at the front and sloped, that would be decent. Obviously lower glacis is a big weak spot, so for 93 frontal armour on just this bit, this lower bit is probably going to be a pretty weaker part. It's really not that great. The turret is 177 at the front, and it can be tricky to penetrate, but if you do have a high enough penetration gun, such as something from the Death Star or the Jagdpanzer E100, the high tier tank destroyers, they will be able to get straight through the front of your turret, no problem, especially with premium. So yeah, armour is a bit hit and miss. Turret armour is the most decent part of it, but overall it's not as well armoured as you'd expect. If we compare it once again to the Patton, 110 frontal hull, 177 frontal turret, so the Patton does have slightly better armour in terms of frontally, but then any place that you can go and hull down in a Patton, you can hull down in an M60 as well. As for mobility, 35 average speed, kilometers an hour, 43.81 degrees per second turret traverse, and 54.76 hull traverse with a 787.5 horsepower engine, bearing in mind I have got engine power boost. Engine accelerator going on here. So overall mobility, it's not too bad compared to the 121B, which has got 16.6 power to weight. It does have also a pretty similar turret and hull traverse, but with a slightly weaker engine. It is, you know, fairly comparable to the mobility of that sort of thing. It does have slightly better power to weight. Average speed is, yeah, that's alright. Again, comparing it to the Patton, Patton has got a 17 power to weight ratio, so it's pretty much the same. It has got 1 kilometers per hour less average speed, and it also has a slightly worse turret and hull traverse, I believe, by the looks of it, with an 810 horsepower engine. So again, pretty similar mobility to a Patton. So if you do have a Patton, and you are alright with the mobility, you'll be alright with the mobility of an M60. So there you go. There's that. As for the gun, however, the gun is a 105mm gun. It has got 250 average pen with APCR as standard, 300 pen with heat, 53 pen with HG, 350 average damage. Yeah, that's a 105mm gun for you. 300 with heat and 440 with HG. Does get 10 degrees of gun depression. Very good accuracy, 0.33, with a very good aim time as well, 2.9 seconds. It is a very good sniper medium tank with 3000 DPM and a 6.8 second reload, which in comparison to the 121B here, the 121B has got slightly less average pen with APCR, but the same sort of average damage with there you go, let's click on that, with slightly better dispersion and the same aim time. So, you know, if you have a 121B, you'll like the gun on the M60. It's a very good gun for sniping, with a very good aim time and accuracy as well. Compared to the Patton's 105mm gun, yeah, they're pretty much the same. However, the M60 does have a better reload time. And it also gets an extra 1 degrees of gun depression. Also better aim time and better dispersion. So it is a better gun than the Pattons. Let's just put it that way. Yeah, in comparison to the Patton, gun-wise, it is a far superior gun, being that the M60 is a development of the Patton, basically. It's basically just a Patton with slightly less hull armour, but a far improved 105mm gun. So there's all of your basic stats. It is pretty much a Patton, but with slightly worse armour and a better gun. So there you go. If you like the Patton, you'll like the M60. But then at the same time, if you have a Patton, you might not necessarily want the M60, because whilst the Patton does have a slightly worse gun, that's not the Patton, that's a heavy tank. Whilst the Patton does have a slightly worse gun, it has got exactly the same average pen and average damage, with still pretty decent gun depression, and also a decent aim time anyway, decent accuracy. If you were to go with if you were to put on the equipment that I have on the M60, being what, refined gun and vert stabs and all that, you would probably get a similar gun handling to the M60. So whilst the M60 is a rare tank to have, and it is a crazy thing to have in your garage because of how rare it is, at the same time you may not want it if you have a Patton, because you know that you'll just play the Patton instead of the M60. So there's the objective information on the M60 with regards to that. As for consumables, standard repair, first aid, fire, you've got your adrenaline, you've got your engine power, and you've got your multi-purpose. Nothing more to say there. You cannot take off the camo on the M60. It comes like this. You will not be able to change the camo pattern, nor will you be able to change any of the writing or decals. This is how it comes. The same as not the 121B, but the same as the T-34 Independence, for example, the 1776. It is a legendary tank with a legendary skin. There is nothing you can do about that. So again, if you have a Patton and you don't like the looks of the M60, you won't want the M60. As for provisions, you've of course got your standard and improved fuel for 3 and 10% respectively to engine power and turret traverse. You've got your Canicola and Casecola for your crew mastery, 3 and 10% respectively, and then you've got your your purpose, your protective kit. There you go. So you can go ahead and max them out if you want. You do carry 57 rounds of ammo, so you have got that to consider. But then again, you're probably never going to use that amount of ammo in a regular game. This is plenty enough ammo to survive a match. It's not like a Death Star or something where you've got a very limited ammo supply, so you can go ahead, mix and match this ammo supply as you want. As for equipment, gun rammer, you don't need calibrated shells. You've got more penetration than a mouse, and that's a frontline heavy. I think you can do with 250 average pen with AP. Obviously, heat pen does go up to 330, but then at that point you probably don't really need that much pen. Especially being a medium tank, you're meant to flank around the sides and rears of enemies, where you don't need to raw brute force your way through the frontal armour like heavies do. So gun rammer for the extra DPM and the better reload time, again with the Patton. If you if you have a Patton and you're running a gun rammer, you'll get probably a similar DPM to what you're seeing here. The same with the reload time. Improved modules for the extra track durability, I would say. They have pretty big tracks and pretty wide. If a HE shell hits them, they will probably absorb a decent amount of the splash damage. So you might want to go improved modules for that. You are a medium tank. You can be a sniper, but you are a medium tank first and foremost, so coated optics is what you'll want. Enhanced gun lane drive. I mean, 3.1 seconds aim time is alright. If you go with enhanced gun lane drive, you'll probably do decently enough. Although you might want supercharged, and I would understand that, so yeah, it's your choice really of those two. Then I would say improved assembly. You don't have the same armour frontally as the Patton, so if you're running enhanced armour on the Patton for whatever reason, definitely don't do it on the M60 because it's just worse armour at that point. So improved assembly for the extra HP. Engine accelerator for the extra power to weight and average speed. Again, if I was to take this off, you would see a number similar to what I was looking at on the Patton's tech tree. So engine accelerator, you don't need refined gun, you've already got 0.32 accuracy, so vert stabs for firing on the move is going to be the better option here. And then enhanced tracks for the extra suspension durability, and then your choice of whatever the hell those two things are. So overall, the M60, it is a rare medium tank to have, and I still can't quite believe that I have it in my garage, but here we are. If you have the Patton, you probably won't want the M60. The Patton is pretty much an M60 but tech tree version. The only reason you would want this is if you're a collector like myself, or you don't have the Patton. I suppose like me, but then I was never planning on getting the Patton, let's be honest. But yeah, otherwise it looks pretty cool, it drives pretty cool, and it's a pretty cool thing to have in your garage. So yeah, there you go, the M60. I'll thank you all for watching, and goodbye.